Don't mind me, I'm just slightly off camera. But Mike, you've inspired me to get back into the sword and buckler after neglecting it for a few weeks after doing nothing but it. And but now that we have the whole moving offhand thing going on, I definitely need to revisit it myself. So the best thing to do with this, I found when I was getting hardcore with the sword and buckler at first, was taking it like chunk by chunk, like breaking it down really small. Like some of the larger paragraphs with some of the like the second and third part and stuff, like I had to break like those paragraphs into like thirds or halves just to be able to get the sequences down. It's just because it's so detailed, I think. But they're much simpler than you think. So I'm gonna like go through that process too of how I've been doing it and see if I can gain anything else from it. So starting with the first chunk, as you were talking about, I'm going to take the first paragraph right there, and that's from here. So it has you starting in the previous paragraph in Codalunga Ilarga with your right foot drawn near your left one. And then from there you go right foot forward, beating the false edge into your sword boss of your buckler. And in that beat, turn the boss toward your face. So you're actually knocking the buckler towards your face. And then as you step, you take a big step with your left foot in front of your right and perform the rotoko with of your buckler as you take that step, and place your sword in the Guardia di Testa with your arms well extended. So, feet together, shield out, Codalunga Ilarga. So it's true edge is facing to my outside, downward point facing toward the ground. And he says, with the false edge, beat into the boss of your buckler and turn it toward your face. And then he says, take a big step with your left foot in front of your right and perform a rotoko, ending in Guardia di Testa. So from here, turn the point of your sword toward the ground. That is, with the false edge of your false edge toward your buckler. Then beat the false edge into your buckler, throwing it upwards, hand high, with your right hand. As you throw it, performing a rising Molinello, take a big step with your right foot forward of your left one. And once you've done so, bring your left foot forward and do another that will go over your buckler arm. So we'll just start with that part first. So we're going to be in Guardia di Testa. Left foot will be forward. And then we'll go with the two rising Molinellos. After hitting the false edge. Yeah. So Guardia di Testa. He says we're going to point our sword toward the ground and hit with the false edge with our buckler, driving it up. And as we do so, the thing about the Molinello is, and the Tramazzone, is that they're supposed to be wrist cuts, or cuts from the wrist. So, and I think the difference between them with the directions, which you were having trouble with, Mike, is Tramazzone, and they always end, I've noticed in the book, in Porta di Ferro. Whether it's Stretta or Larga is another story, but they always end in Porta di Ferro. So if it's a wrist cut, you're basically cutting into that. So it makes me think with the Molinello then, if it's the other direction, you're going to be ending in Codalunga Stretta or Codalunga Larga if you're cutting that. So you're cutting think of it as like a reverso or Mandrito Fendenti, but through the wrist. So that rising one is coming back up through that exact same line, which is more of like a reverso line. So that rising Molinelli, let's see, left foot forward, Guardia di Testa, beat it with the right foot, come up one, with the left foot I come up again, and end and Guardia di Sottobraccio. And from there we hit the inside, I believe, of the penna. Yes. So yeah, we'll keep that. We'll try that again. Do that a couple of times. So from Guardia di Testa. Yeah, you end up there. So and then from there, yeah. So it's that rising action. You're coming up above your shield and ending right there. I think that's basically, yeah. So that kind of reverso Fendenti line that we're used to seeing, you're basically just cutting that, but from the wrist with the Molinetto. And then, of course, you're going to come back up that one for the rising one. Same with the Tramazzone, which that bears its own talk, because he talks about a lot of double Tramazzones. If I do that, I kind of have to move the shield like that in order to end the second one in Porta de Ferro. So there's an implied movement there. But like I said, that's for another thing. That's another story for another day. Guardia di Testa. From the side, Guardia di Testa. Stay over here, Harley. Stay over here, buddy. Guardia di Testa. Cut a falso. The right, Molinetto. Rising Molinetto. Left foot. Boom. So let's put those two together. Codalunga di Stesa. So from here, Guardia di Testa, or no, putting it all together, that's right. Codalunga Larga. Then cast your sword hand forward of your buckler, and with your point turned to the ground. Sorry, I got caught up. Yeah, okay. Then cast your sword hand forward of your buckler with your point turned toward the ground once again. And as you turn it, throw another falso upward into your buckler. And as you throw this falso, cast your right foot forward and throw a montanta. Once you've done so, draw your right foot back near your left one and let your sword go into Guardia Alta with your buckler extended. So, after I hit the penna, cast your sword hand forward and falso. Upward into it. Cast your right foot forward, throw a montanta. And then draw the right foot back and end in Guardia Alta with your buckler extended. Okay. So, if I'm here in Sottobraccio, I hit the penna, and I think that also acts as like in a way, an impetus to bring your sword back, hit that falso toward the ground, and then the way I've been doing it since it's a montanta are false and they cut up like that, but if I'm coming backwards, I've usually been taking like a big one and cutting in and then coming back up. And that's how I've been interpreting that. I don't know if you have something different for the way it's worded. I feel like you could do something like a smaller movement, that, but I don't know. That's a tough one. But so from here, the penna. I think it has you come back and do that, but just one moment. I gotta let my dog out or in. There you go, buddy. Yes, ending in Guardia Alta with your buckler extended. Then you'll cut a fendente. So the next paragraph altogether. You know what? Before we do that, let's combine everything together so far, because I think we can. So, from Codalunga e Larga, also Rotocco, Guardia di Testa. Cut 1, cut 2. Boom. Now Montanta up into Guardia Alta. Feet close together, ready to go in for some more. But I think it's the embellishment at this point, because the play is ended. I think that was, it's the embellishment that gets you into range. So, but I think you're actually in range because you just do back steps from here. So yeah, from that Guardia Alta here in the book, let me give you my pretty face to look at as I read. Cut a fendente into the edge of your buckler, stepping backward with your right foot. And once you've done so, draw your left foot beside your right one, and your sword will be in Codalunga e Distesa. Then take a big step in front of your right foot with your left one, performing a rotocco of the buckler with your sword, making the sword go into Guardia di Testa. Then throw another falso up into the boss of your buckler. That's the first half of that paragraph. So we'll stick with that. And that is cut a fendente into the edge of your buckler, stepping backward with the right foot, drawing the left one back. Okay, and the rotocco. So from here, you cut a fendente into your edge of your buckler, and as you bring your left foot back, your sword hand goes back, and you're in Codalunga e Distesa. Then you're going to step with your left foot while performing a rotocco, ending in Guardia di Testa. From the side, form that a little bit over here. So from there, to finish the embellishment, throw another falso up into the boss of your buckler. As you do so, take a big step in front of your left foot with your right one and throw a montanta into your buckler, immediately drawing your right foot near your left one, and let your sword go into Guardia Alta with both arms well extended. Your left side facing toward your enemy more so than the right does, your right foot well extended. So, yeah. So from Guardia di Testa, cut a falso up, come up, step, montante. Sorry, I'm quiet here. So kind of fendente into the edge of your sword. Step with your right. So I'm reading the whole paragraph again. Like I said, this part I think took me almost half a week alone just to try and figure out. So yeah, and to actually kind of get together. And I have obviously forgotten a bit of it. Yeah, okay, so it's just basically another throw and resting into Guardia Alta from there. So we had that from Guardia Alta, cut the Fendente, Guardia Codalunga e Distesa, then the Rotocco, the left foot forward, cut another Montanta, and then you bring your right foot back just in front of your left, arm well extended, right out or left out further than your right, and you're ready to go with the first play. Let's do that all together. Codalunga Larga, the falso, the right step, Rotocco, the left step, Guardia di Testa, falso tap, Molinelli, left foot forward, sopra braccio, from sopra braccio, penna, falso, step with the right with the montanta, fendente down, into Codalunga Distesa, feet together, Rotocco, left foot forward out, Guardia di Testa, falso, montanta, into Guardia Alta, left foot forward, but close. Talk through that one more time, and try it without it. Yeah. Codalunga Larga, falso, Rotocco, Guardia di Testa, falso, montanta, or oops, screwed it up. From the top, Codalunga Larga, falso, Rotocco, Guardia di Testa, push. Something about that, if this is pedagogical, I wonder if this, and the fact that it happens every time from Guardia di Testa, which, sorry, another sidebar, something that Dalla Gocchie shows is Guardia di Testa like this, but he always parries, apparently, in like a hanging parry. So I wonder if, I know it's so much later, but if there's a connection, and the fact that Marozzo from Guardia di Testa is always doing this, and then you're basically pushing it out of the way, so more of that active buckler. Anyway, let's try and get through this. So, falso, Rotocco, Molinello, montanta, fendente, Guardia di Testa, montanta, and you're ready to go. So, it's disgusting. He goes through like 3 freaking paragraphs to do that. That's all that first chunk is right there. That gets you to the enemy to start the assault. That's the procession in. And that final part there, from Guardia Alta, cutting the fendente, is basically his embellishment, what he talks about at the end of every play. That whenever he mentions an embellishment, it's that exact sequence. That's his exiting sequence, apparently. So let's try this forward and side facing. No talking. See if I can actually do it. Oh, did it wrong. Keep wanting to do the embellishment and not the rising Molinellos. So. Lost my balance there. Yeah, that's so really most of the active stuff there, I think, is doesn't really look like it with your sword or with your offhand just sitting out there as it kind of is with me, but I think it's in some of those subtle motions there. You're learning some like gross principles, like every time you're in Guardia di Testa, you're blocking, essentially parrying like this with your buckler, reinforcing it. And why does that not look like the whole like rotella play, the second rotella play, chapter 103 that we've been talking about, where, you know, you're guarding up here with your sword and then you come in with that left and slash. You know, that's... So yeah, just, you know, but that's my interpretation of that first chunk. That's how I've been practicing it. The problem with subtle movement is subtle. You know, I guess, so it's kind of hard to tell, but like, even if I don't see it, you know, you're still cutting into the buckler, which is keeping your hand behind the buckler, which is always trying to maintain safety, you know. Especially if you have like one of the first assaulti there in that Guardia Alta, you cut Mandrito, treat the right leg, you're in Sopra Braccio, then he tells you to cut a Reverso Squalembrato into Codalunga Estrella, cutting into the buckler and falling into Codalunga Estrella. So it'd be like that, I would assume. So like, you're still, you know. Yeah, just rambling now, so I'll stop it.